What if I told you that the whole idea of being clutch actually says more about the team than it does about the quarterback?
He's got it! And forces his way into the end zone. Touchdown!
They sure did. I mean, collectively. The defense did, the offense did, the coaching staff, everybody to get themselves in this position right now. You can't say enough about J.J. McCarthy. I mean, things were not going well at all. He was under duress, playing on the road, tough environment.
When we highlight those dramatic last-minute heroics, we might just be overlooking some crucial underlying issues on the team. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If your quarterback seems to need a Hail Mary every week, maybe it's not just about him. Maybe it's just about the team's flaws, you know what I mean? So let's think this through. If your guy is always having to pull off some kind of miracle, it kind of suggests that the rest of the team isn't holding up their end of the bargain, right? To put it simply, like if your defense was solid or your coach had a great game plan, well, you wouldn't be in those nail-biting situations in the first place. And as much as we love these epic comebacks, they kind of can't help but highlight just how much weight that quarterback is carrying. And there's two people that come to mind in modern day. I mean, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes immediately. So let's zoom in a little bit here. Starting with Mahomes, he led the league with 7 game-winning drives in 2024. Very impressive, right? But we dig a little deeper and we discover something interesting. So this was actually statistically Mahomes' worst season as a starter, with traditional metrics across the board. So why did he need to engineer more late-game heroics than ever? Well, to me, the Chiefs' offense struggles mean that they've found themselves in situations where they were trailing late in every game, and that's kind of a red flag, wouldn't you say? I mean, yeah, for example, in that December game against the Chargers, Mahomes retrieved his 7th game-winning drive in a 19-17 victory, but he had to convert 3 third downs on that final drive, including a bootleg to find Travis Kelce. So, yes, we applaud that execution, but why does a championship hopeful quarterback and team need a miracle in the first place against a mediocre squad like the Chargers at the time? So think about that, and then think about, in that same vein, Josh Allen, who orchestrated a very memorable comeback for the ages just days ago against the Ravens in their season opener. They were down by 15 points in the fourth quarter and somehow pulled off a 41-40 win. It was absolutely crazy. But let's look at the numbers here. In that fourth quarter alone, Allen completed 16 of 21 passes for 251 yards and 3 total touchdowns. He had a passer rating of 131.3. He was absolutely on fire. But here's the kicker. Despite that jaw-dropping performance, the Bills allowed 40 points and 435 total yards to Baltimore. That's a lot. So while Allen's just throwing darts, we have to think about the defensive failures that put him in that position in the first place. And let's not forget that Allen, he did have an inconsistent season, partly because he had to constantly bail out his defense. I mean, he threw 8 interceptions and lost 6 fumbles while trying to make plays that his team structure really couldn't support. And when we're looking at playoff losses since 2000, Josh Allen ranks second among quarterbacks in EPA per play, while his defense is ranked worst in EPA. And that's a crazy stark contrast that we don't often see except for with clutch quarterbacks. Let's look at Tony Romo. At the time of his retirement, he had the highest fourth quarter passer rating among active quarterbacks. That's 102.1 was his rating, I believe. That's more than 5 points higher than Aaron Rodgers. He also completed over 63% of his passes in those crucial moments, which is awesome, right? But get this, his playoff record was a dismal 2-4. The Cowboys needed his heroics. They were invaluable because their team just couldn't get in the groove, like when it mattered the most. And then there's Dan Marino, absolute legend. He had 36 fourth quarter comebacks and just 1 Super Bowl appearance. A fantastic talent, but the Dolphins, just that team didn't have the infrastructure or the coaching to support him. Therefore, he was put in these positions to be clutch. And how about Drew Brees, you guys? He has the record for the most games lost after leading with the fourth quarter touchdown. He has 16 of those on his record, and that's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, to me, those stats just highlight how much he was left in a position like that where he had to be a hero, and sometimes he came up short. Okay, it's a lot to take in, so we'll bring it back to the numbers. Advanced analytics show that this whole clutch narrative might just be a myth. Research indicates that clutch performances do not strongly correlate year to year at all. In fact, clutch win probability, or clutch WPA, has a virtually non-existent correlation of negative 0.1, while general quarterback performance metrics like EPA maintain a much steadier correlation at 0.48%. Isn't that just kind of wild? It implies that quarterback skill remains the same, but the clutch moments are random, perhaps a product of the team that is perhaps not backing up this quarterback talent. The average NFL quarterback has a 19% success rate in fourth quarter comeback opportunities, but that success rate correlates strongly with team defense quality, not just the quarterback skills. So what are we really trying to say here? That elite defenses create more opportunities for game-winning drives by just making sure the games are close. Well, bad defenses don't even get the chance to get their quarterback into a clutch position. And if their quarterback is in a clutch position, then they have to be the hero and they are clutch. But if we backtrack to the beginning, we as an elite team shouldn't have been in that spot in the first place. So when we look back at the Saints and Drew Brees, it's a reminder that no quarterback's performance is superhuman enough to overcome the futile. And if we look at the teams in the 2024 NFL season, the Chiefs ranked 4th in points allowed. They gave up just 19.2 points per game. So their defense here was quite competent, and that helped keep those games close enough for Pat Mahomes to shine. And then if you look at the Bills, who just ranked 12th in points allowed at 21.6 points per game. So it's not a surprise that Josh Allen often found himself in these high pressure situations, right? Imagine if the Bills had a better defense. It could have transformed some of Josh Allen's near misses into like pretty comfortable victories and changed the narrative without altering his individual performance. So to me, the kicker is that we need to change how we evaluate quarterbacks. Instead of just focusing on like the thrilling clutch moment, we have to consider how they elevate their teams and play across the board. The best teams in the NFL history, like think about the 1985 Bears or 2000s Ravens, like they won championships through a complete team of excellent players, not just incredible athletes pulling off last minute stunts. So the next time that we watch a quarterback pull off a miraculous victory, let's just not sit back and marvel at the magic. We have to also interrogate and look as strategists at why this happened. What led to this moment? And the answers to that can tell you a little bit more about the team's true championship hopes. That can tell you a lot more than a clutch quarterback statistic ever could. Really important to remember that a quarterback's excellence, a la Tony Romo, is not dependent on team's performance. Yet, when a quarterback is excellent, it lifts up the rest of the team. So rising tides raise all tides, as they say, but it's also really important to maybe reevaluate if our team finds ourselves in this position game after game, trailing late, falling behind, making special teams and defensive mistakes. Is my quarterback clutch because he's talented, or does he have to be clutch in order to make up for other people's shortcomings? And if he didn't have to make up for these other people's shortcomings, how much greater could he be?
Hey!